Carly told Nina that maybe Willow's house is toxic. Maybe it should be investigated for mold or something. Help the children out. But the only thing that's toxic about their house is that that's where Willow and Drew live. Good morning, General Hospital fans. Here to talk about yesterday's episode in a quick review. Unlike yesterday, I think I'm going to start with the good stuff rather than the not so good stuff. I enjoyed the confrontation between Dante and his son Rocco, with Dante now knowing that Rocco is the one that shot Cullum. And Rocco kind of knew that he and Lulu were arguing about him the other day. He told his father that he hasn't told Charlotte yet about all of this. Dante wanted to make it known to Rocco that he is Rocco's father and Rocco can tell him anything. He wanted to know if Rocco is okay. Of course, Rocco says he's not okay because he just shot the WSB director. So Dante wanted to know all of the facts from that night and what happened on the piers. So once again, for like the fifth time, Rocco recounted what happened at the pier that night, this time to his father. Dante feels like Britt is hiding something and has something going on with Cullum, and that's why all of this happened in the first place. So Dante's detective instincts actually kicking in, which is nice. Dante agrees that Cullum can never know how Rocco was at the pier that night. Dante is going to cover this up like the others to protect his son. And Dante says he can handle this for his son. But at that same time, first of all, Justine and Sonny were meeting, Sonny coming over to do his flirting with Justine. Justine was glad to hear that Sonny figured out his misunderstanding with Rick. Sonny being so dramatic last week. He still hasn't apologized to Rick, by the way. But Cullum ends up coming over, making note of how the DA seems to be cozying up to Sonny, this thug, as Cullum would call him. Although Justine is saying that Cullum is the one that set up this meeting between them today. So Sonny questions Cullum about what he did to Jason to make Jason shoot him in the back. And Cullum is just pressing Sonny and Justine at this time. But Justine got Cullum back pretty good. Gave him a good punch to the gut with her words, saying that because Cullum kept saying that she shouldn't be associating with criminals as the DA, but Justine pressed back at Cullum, talking about all of the WSB's tactics that are not so legal sometimes and that are violating the law. So I guess this was a stall for Justine with Cullum, because at the end of the episode, Justine called Dante to let Dante know that Cullum is looking for the evidence from his shooting and that she's been trying to stall him. So Dante's going to have to figure that out. We are building towards, a clash maybe with Dante and Cullum. I don't know where Not So Nathan, aka Cassius, fits into all of that. But I think it's building up nicely there. Britt and Lucas were getting drunk in this episode. In Wednesday's episode, as I've been saying for weeks, the plan should have always been that they tell Sidwell that Cullum is the one that killed Marco. Because why wouldn't you want to put those two against each other? It only helps, really. But today they were drinking their sorrows, I guess. I still don't know how I feel about them being so friendly these days. They used to not be so friendly, and I've made it known, especially this week, I do not like the Britt character, so I don't really care about this friendship, but I guess Lucas needs someone to help him drown his sorrows as a friend. Lucas doesn't think that Britt should be the one to tell Sidwell about Cullum because he might not even believe Britt, so Lucas needs to be the one to do that. Then Britt was talking again about how she doesn't seem to have a choice about not working for Cullum and Sidwell because they keep giving her meds for her Huntington's disease, but maybe she should just stop and just let the Huntington's disease take its course. But there also is other meds for Huntington's disease, so that's another plot hole in the story, like I've been saying all along. But their scenes were at least entertaining yesterday. The big scenes were kind of a showdown between Carly and Nina at the hospital because Willow tried to warn Nina yesterday about how she should not be at the hospital all up around Jack because it's going to look suspicious. And then today, she runs into Carly. Although I will say we did not get a follow up on the cliffhanger to Wednesday's episode, which was Michael and Jacinda together with those photos of Chase and Willow busting in. None of that was to be found in this episode. I don't love when soap operas do that. They take an extra day to get back to a storyline. But this showdown between Nina and Carly was kind of good because Carly was definitely pushing Nina, saying she doesn't understand how it's just such a coincidence that both Jack and Drew had a sudden stroke in Willow's house while Willow in Drew's house. Nina was sarcastic that suddenly Carly is an expert on strokes, but Carly told Nina that maybe Willow's house is toxic. Maybe it should be investigated for mold or something, help the children out. But the only thing that's toxic about their house is that that's where Willow and Drew live. They are the toxic people in that house. Nina, however, threw it back at Carly, saying that maybe Carly should warn Lulu that Valentine is back in Port Charles because Nina tells Carly that Jack and Valentine were having an altercation and that's probably what led to Brennan's stroke. Nina told Carly that they were fighting about Joss. Why would Valentine care about that? And why would Brennan know anything about that? So she was pushing back at Carly's threats, or I guess just questions. And Nina said maybe she should let Cullum know exactly what happened that night since Carly wants her to be so much more open about what maybe happened that night. So she did kind of shut Carly up a bit. Carly thinks that they should both stay out of WSB business, especially from Cullum because he seems so cold and ruthless. So this was basically just two characters who both have some info on each other now, in a way. I mean, Carly doesn't quite have all the info on the fact that Drew is being poisoned, but she could probably figure that out pretty quickly now. So those were good scenes. The rest of the show was what it was. I mean, we have this Trina and Gio thing. They're really pushing for Trina to have a music career now. Trina's condition to Brook Lynn, though, is that she needs Gio to play with her because Trina is so nervous and Gio helps her out there. Gio was wary that he might not be the best thing for Trina because at the showcase they would be a part of, if they found out that he is Brook Lynn's son, that might hurt their chances. But Trina needs Gio there for her nerves. I don't know how I feel about this music storyline. I just don't like the writing for Trina in general. That is definitely a big weakness on this show for me, because back when I was watching more consistently 3-4 years ago, she was one of my favorite characters. They've definitely tried to downplay her, but this show and their black characters, that is what they do. And then Ezra and Laura had a talk with Tracy. I'm not gonna lie, this felt like filler to me. I mean, I like when Tracy gets screen time and all, and I want to like Laura and Ezra working together to take down Sidwell, but it doesn't feel like it's actually making any progress, like they actually have any good plan. And today just felt like a distraction to keep these characters occupied because Tracy has been trying to stop the flight path that Sidwell wants, and Laura and Ezra were trying to get her to not do that. In the end, Laura was able to get through to Tracy, kind of begging her to not press through the injunction right now. They can file later. Tracy thought that this would have been one of the times Luke would tell her to trust Laura, so she's going to trust Laura for now. Tracy left and Laura and Ezra discussed how they need to find out what Sidwell really cares about and push him to make a mistake. But, that's a problem with one-note villains like Sidwell that are cartoon villains, is I don't feel like the show has done a good job of showing us his weakness. I guess maybe in some regard, maybe that weakness was Marco, but Marco's dead. So what is his weakness now? a better villain, we would know that. But unfortunately, Sidwell is pretty one note. So yesterday's episode was a mixed bag for me. I'm expecting a Good Friday episode because the last couple of weeks, Monday and Friday, have been the good episodes. And then the middle of the week, we kind of just have to float through some not so great episodes.